still hear an echo, but
son of a bitch.
As long as
that's weird.
I can try.
That's weird.
Do you think if I turned my mic down, would that help in the settings?
Turn your headphones.
Turn your headphones on and off.
Well, I don't have headphones right now.
Yeah. Do that.
But what I can do is I have a mic volume. Let me try this. Does this sound any better? Does that sound any better?
It's me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought maybe it was reverbing because I'm too loud, but I guess not. Oh, here's an echo cancellation. I'm going to check that.
This is a literal echo chamber.
How does that sound?
You sound fine, man. You sound great.
Okay.
For sure. You sound great. It's just all mine. And now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right. My echo's gone.
Oh, don't touch anything.
I ain't going to touch a damn thing. For sure. Thank you, man. He's our outside tester.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. That was aggravating. That was aggravating the absolute life out of me. You couldn't
tell me when to start, sir.
Okay.
You sound good? Everything good?
All right. Yep, everything's good. We can go.
All right. Okay, so welcome back, folks, to another bonus episode of Surviving Empathy Podcast. And today I am with my buddy and friend and amigo and compadre, Keith Burr, not Bill Burr. He's better than Bill Burr. He's somebody I took an instant liking to, and we had some technical glitches and stuff on the last broadcast, so we took a little break, and we're resolving technical issues. We sounding okay, Keith?
Yep, we sound golden now.
All right. I like your George Carlin poster. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, man, he was a prophet.
Well, let's switch gears here because we were kind of going down the sociopolitics, and we're getting down into that territory of bad jobs and why we decided to be comedians. He's got a strawberry milk there. Can't blame him there. So was there a particular job or person or situation that made you just go for broke, or was it a series of things?
I've been on a series of antidepressants since I was 14, 15 years old. And I've been on every different like concoction and cocktail that you can pretty much imagine. None of it ever worked. Like I was always a really unhappy individual.
Right.
And not unhappy, not only unhappy, it's like severe, like a major depressive disorder is what it would have been considered, or what it was considered. But I stopped taking my antidepressants cold turkey about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
At exactly the same time that I started to pursue comedy. Now, I'm not saying nobody should. I'm not suggesting that anybody do this if you're on antidepressants, because it was hell. But you know, I'm not saying that two have anything to do with each other, but here I am.
Right. Yeah. What would you say? Because I think the common misconception is in the general populace is that people assume that comedians are extroverts, that they have great mental health, that they're happy, well-adjusted people, and nothing could be further from the truth. I think we go into comedy because we are broken, right?
Yeah, we know what it feels like to really we know the value of a laugh.
Yeah.
And like what it is, like what a gift it is to be able to give to other people, like to be able to alleviate them of their worry, even if it's just for like a fleeting minute, like because any respite from that hell that is depression is it's invaluable.
Yeah. I'm getting some crackles on your end, sir, and I won't do this again, but is there any way to fix that, or?
Oh, crackles? Like snap, crackle, pop, or?
Yeah, just every time you talk, it goes crack, 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 crack. Anybody else hearing that?
Yeah, Ben, you hear that? Oh, that's probably why. And now, baby,
How about that? Better? We good?
look at me. I'm a technical wizard.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Ben. Yeah.
Good deal. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for letting us know, bro.
Pops, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Much
Oh,
much better. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna show off the guns.
yeah, I got BB guns.
Oh, gotta
So,
show everybody my tattoo, see? My Nightmare Before Christmas tat.
oh man, yeah, I wonder sometimes if what's the director's name of that?
Tim Burton?
Yeah, I feel like him and Johnny Depp have this agreement where Tim Burton calls Johnny, and when Johnny answers the phone, he just says yes.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He pretty much has him to thank for his whole career.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome back, folks. And we're sitting here with my good buddy, Keith Burr. And we had some technical glitches and we kind of had to stop there, but we're back. We're good. I think we're perfect now. You sound great. You in a good mood?
Oh, that took a real toll on it. But yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
good, man.
Yeah. I'm getting a couple clicks and pops, but nothing bad.
Oh, again? Oh no.
Oh, no, now you're good. We're good. Let's just, I think just it was temporary. So I think we're okay.
All right,
Ben
cool.
says it's perfecto. Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, good. As long as Ben says this, let's. I want to see how this works for us real quick. You
Yeah,
haven't
go
seen this
for it.
that you haven't seen this aspect of it yet.
Did you know that sometimes cats lay eggs? Did you know that sometimes babies are born knowing how to read? Contrary to popular belief, all dogs don't go to heaven. Did you know that when you have a baby,
It was fast for me, wasn't it?
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Let's
Is that
see.
just
Then the police came. I went in the house.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good deal.
Richard Pryor? I own that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know why it showed mine going like in quick motion. Did it? Was that like it for you too?
No,
did you know that sometimes cats lay eggs? Did you know that sometimes babies are born knowing how to read? Contrary to popular belief, all dogs don't go to heaven. Did you know that when you have a baby and times get tough, that your standard grill can actually double as a bassinet? Did you know that you're not supposed to swallow bubble gum? And lastly, just because you wake up in somebody else's house, that doesn't mean that you're breaking and entering. You're more like camping out overnight. It's public land. Wake the fuck.
I was going to ask you because, I'm a comedian and I'm a writer of comedy. And right when I was getting ready to test my chops, the pandemic hit and closed all the comedy clubs down here. And you've gotten the chance to do real comedy on the stage, and I want to. I'm craving it. But I noticed you do a lot of really fun things on Instagram, and it's really built up your audience. The days we're living in now with the pandemic and everything, it's so much differently because in the old days, you kind of had to go on a Johnny Carson or you went on a TV show, and that's where you built your audience from. How do you feel like the times today are so different, and how do comedians get their chops now when comedy clubs are a lot of times closed or you can't even get in sometimes? What are the pros and cons, if you will, of living in the modern society as a comedian?
There are so many different avenues into like being able to be viewed by people that I'm in everything, man. I'm on Clubhouse, I'm on Stereo, I'm on Fireside, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm everywhere. And
Yeah.
so that really helps because people's attention is so fleeting now that like if you have a chance to grab it, you have to pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
and you don't get very many second chances either. Like you either win over an audience member as a fan, or you're just off into the fray with the rest of the people that they're going to forget.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. For myself, when I had the opportunity to start a podcast, I thought, yeah, it'll be so funny, it'll be so great. And then once I started doing it, I realized that I am funny through happenstance, but I don't like having to try to make people laugh because I feel like there's so many people that are just more naturally funny than me, or at least more naturally energetic. I'm 47 years old. I'm tired, so I
You
guess
look great for 47.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. I guess for me though is like I just feel like I made my show so unfunny that there's no way now that I can make it funny. Like I introduce humor here and there when I'm talking to my wife and such, but I made the whole show this very deep and meaningful show, and I love what I've created, but at the same time, whenever I feel like I'm trying to be funny now, I feel like I'm going to upset my more sensitive empath audience. So I'm always
You feel like it cheapens the broadcast, like if you try to like inject humor, or
I guess I'm just worried that because you talked about the hypersensitivity of the woke culture. I feel like there's a culture out there of people who are getting very upset at everything. I mean, you see professional comedians now, they won't even tour colleges now because they don't want to deal with the angry, hateful people who can't take a fucking joke. What's going on? Because I mean, I'm progressive, I'm liberal, if you will, but I'm not that liberal. I eat meat. I say fuck,
what they are is the exact opposite of liberal. They claim the flag of liberalism, but
right.
It's just a shelter for them to be able to get away with acting ugly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I always thought being liberal meant you were more generous and generous minded. That's the word, where the root word of it. And so why do you think that these people who claim to be more open-minded than the right tend to be actually more closed-minded in some accounts, or at least just as much?
It's because as they were growing up and being raised, they were told that their opinions mattered and that they were special. And growing up, they found out that they weren't. And so they're angry, they're jaded, and they lash out at people that are getting the attention they feel like they deserve. So anybody who's in like any kind of spotlight or public forum, they're looking for any small little crack in their armor, and even making up ones on their own, just to bring them down to their level. Like they're miserable people.
Yeah, well, I have gotten very lucky, I feel like, at least for now, because I've been doing this for about a year. I've gotten very lucky in terms of finding an audience, finding my niche, and growing my podcast. I'm already in kind of the top 10% of all podcasts. Obviously, I'm not pulling huge numbers yet, but I'm pulling big enough numbers where I'm proud of it. But I guess I'm always afraid that things are going to derail because I get to be too much myself. And I think that's the thing. When you pigeonhole yourself as a empath, there's a certain behavior pattern that people expect with that. And I'm trying to teach people, don't do that, man. Don't put people in a box,
Yeah, I mean, well, as long as you're unapologetically honest and you are still like nothing that you do is with the intent of being hateful, then they can't really do anything to you. As long as you can stick by your morals and your convictions, then how can they you can't tear down a brick house. Like you just can't.
Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly what I've done is I've gotten to the point because I told myself in season 2 that I was going to be a little more spicy, a little more peppery, a little more myself. I'd sprinkle a little bit more of myself as I got more comfortable with radio, that I would just become more and more myself. And in doing so, I feel more liberated and I feel like the show's doing better because of that. But then also, like, I'll go on and like, for instance, a lot of times I'll measure my success based on my Instagram numbers, and I'll put out a show and then I'll see, oh shit, I lost 10 subscribers. I wonder if that was something I said, or is that just because accounts are getting canceled because they're the sexy ladies who are spamming,
Sexy single ladies in your area want you.
Yeah.
I got a joke about that I haven't really fleshed out yet. Because well, it's hard to flesh out those jokes about them because they're not flesh and bone anyway. But it's like, who is the audience that those are intended for? Because obviously that model has to work, or it wouldn't keep being perpetuated. Like,
Right.
who is the like desperate asshole out there? It's like, oh, well, they're absolutely real. Yes, I'll give you my credit card information. Of course, you seem honest.
I know. I see. Like, I always see a handful of people. It's like the Illuminati people, and then I get, and then because I do a show about it being an empath and the paranormal, I get a lot of this. The ancestors told me to tell you X, Y, Z, blah blah blah. I'm like, the ancestors. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah,
Like,
I
and
I
then I
get
go
those
there and it's
people.
just spammers, you know.
Yeah, I've had the Illuminati approach me several times, and I'll send them a picture whenever they say we're interested in you. I'll send them this, like I go, which is it's the all mocking tongue, like in the Illuminati like space. I'm like, I'm already in it. Good to meet you guys. Like, how you doing? Like,
Exactly. In fact, I'm your boss. Right
yeah,
about
it's
now.
like, did you clear this with Carl? Like,
Yeah. I'm from the home office. Don't you know me?
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
on all the office letterheads, you know.
It's like, look at me. I'm the representative here. Come on, man. I'm the field rep. Did you guys didn't clear this? You're in fucking trouble, okay? We know where you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are the light.
Yeah. Well, you know, that brings up a good point is that because I think, you know, and I've talked about this on the show where I talk about we're all trying to be validated, but in doing so, we're all trying to become successful. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, spreading your personality as far and wide as you can. And so I don't think selling out when you do as many shows as possible and get known in every way you possibly can. Um, but it feels to me now, and what's going on with Instagram culture where everybody out there is either trying to be like sexy or a fitness person, and what are they getting? Are they getting paid for this? What's the reasoning and rationale behind that? I'm running a podcast. You're trying to become a comedian. We have reasons. What are their reasons?
Well, everybody wants to have a group. Some people aren't satisfied with small groups. Some people have unrealistic expectations of how much personality they have to go around, and and also like how interesting that personality is. The
Right.
reason that you see look, sex sells, it always has and it always will. That's one commodity that you can count on every time.
Yeah.
But with the fitness gurus and or social media coaches, life coaches, things like this, it's because there's so many videos on the internet that tell you that you need to put everything that you post into a certain niche or like subgroup or even like
Right.
a niche inside of a niche, and you have to provide some kind of value that that's what they're following the blueprint of what somebody else tells them that they should be doing. And it's not, it doesn't work. It's, you know, like you see these people, like, have you had them message you about like acquiring followers for money
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah.
likes?
Oh yeah.
You
Yes.
know,
I
you know
have.
how I feel about that. Like I posted about it like several
Oh, I
times,
can't.
like
I would never.
trying to warn people because I know people that have like 30,000 followers but can't get, I mean, 100 likes on a post. That makes you look silly.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, and you know, because like I'm barely cracking 2,000, and I notice you're up about 4,000, and I think there's a way to get more followers, and I interact with people. I have a handful of people that I talk with regularly, yourself included, and I just post and I just be myself. I just don't go into my Instagram with any agendas. And that's probably why I'm just kind of stagnating at 2,000 because I'm just waiting for people to discover me, and I figure it'll grow itself. Um, I don't know. It just feels like our culture is so everybody wants to be famous, everybody wants to be heard. And while I do feel, I mean, we're no exception. Um, is it insecurity? Is it validation? Is it Are they trying to get paid? What do you think's going on there?
It can be a mix of all. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not shy about saying that I'm in it to. I would like to make a livable wage off of what I
Sure.
do,
I
and
don't think there's anything wrong with that.
and see a lot of people are disillusioned with, like I was saying, like how valuable what they have to offer is. Like, what do you offer people though? Like, because if a laugh is good, but what do you really like offer in the end? Like mine is I'm trying to educate people, make them
Mm-hmm.
look at flawed viewpoints that they have through a different scope, using humor as the vehicle for that.
Yeah.
And that might sound pretentious as all get out, and
No, there's
but
truth to that though.
yeah, I mean, but people can see that too from what I've been told, like the
Yeah.
genuine aspect. Um, and it's also validation is great. God, I live for validation, man, because it feels good. I mean, of course, everybody wants to know that what they're doing is seen and heard and appreciated.
Right.
And
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think we're living in a culture. It's weird because, I mean, I did this, and that's the thing is like you're a little bit younger than me, obviously, and but I feel like because you're old enough to have paid some dues before you got into this. I guess my point is that I worked like my wife. We've worked in the entire 20 years in careers before we decided to let the cheese slip off the cracker and go into comedy and go into podcasting. But you've paid some dues yourself. Do you feel like people are just?
oh
You
shit,
feel like? Oh no!
there we go.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Ooh,
You saved me just in time. My hero.
my bad.
No, it's all good. But do you feel like because I feel like I want to reward people who are themselves. I want to reward people for being genuine. I'd much rather have people be genuine than be inauthentic and phony. In other words, I guess I want people to go out and pay their dues and find out for themselves what works. And then I want them to go into comedy, or I want them to go into all these other entertainment industries after they've, tried the real world first, like you and
Yeah,
I have. It's just, I feel like there's a lot of people, because like I started out on YouTube and I realized, because I have a background in radio and, I thought, oh yeah, YouTube. But then after a while, I started to feel like those YouTubers, they're just excited all the time and have to act generic all the time. And I just felt like I wasn't finding my voice. My personality wasn't translating well because I'm a very awkward and,
well, that's relatable. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think it worked, but I guess I wasn't able to be more deep on the podcast. I'm able to really dig deep. And because people don't see my furry face, I feel like I'm getting more validation. And when people see me, it's almost like it belays the greater point because they see you. And it's almost like people just can't get past physical looks. And so that's why I love radio, because you can win people over. It's like back in the old days when you met someone online and you typed on AOL instant message for a while and then you met them. It felt more deep because you got to know their soul first. You got to know their brain first. And so that's what I love about radio is that people get to know the real me. And then when they're either they love or hate the way I look, um, they're already used to me as a person. They know what they're getting. They can see me coming out and
yeah,
oh, that's the guy from the show. I can see, oh yeah, they get to see and put a face to what they've been hearing all this time.
yeah.
I don't know, but it feels to me like everybody now is trying to, because I'm not one to talk. I mean, I'm trying to pursue entertainment industry as well, but do you feel like people, I don't know, do you feel like people are trying to, jump to the chase? Are they is it ego driven? Is it arrogance? Or is it just are they just, has everybody grown wise to the corporate schemes out there and wants to go do their own personal private thing?
Oh God, no. People aren't growing wise to anything. Everybody thinks that YouTube is a get rich quick scheme. You know,
Right.
they think that they're gonna start a channel and put 3 videos up and get 1 million views on each video and start making money. And
Right.
it's just not how it works. It's
No.
you have to be consistent, you have to have value to your content, and you have to be a likable person, but you also have to play the corporate game stuff. You have to package your content the right way.
Right.
You have
Right.
to know when to post it. You have to know who
Yeah.
your audience is.
Yeah.
And it's you have to so many different hurdles and obstacles to get through to actually find your audience that a lot of people that's where they fall off. And you know, that's good. It's fine. That's not
Yeah.
it's not for them. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because I try to say on my show that I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to feel validated, but I just don't want to make people famous or popular because they have good looks. I want there to be more. I want there to be character. I want there to be substance.
actually, you know, it's funny with in comedy, it is. I found that it is harder for people that are considered attractive to do well in it
I could see
because
that.
nobody wants to take like a story from somebody that is, you know, like what you would consider like classically good looking and
Right.
say, okay, they've had hardships really.
Really,
The,
with those looks, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm
I
sure
agree.
life's real hard for you. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's
There's a comedian
difficult.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, I can't remember his name. But
Anthony
yeah,
Jeselnik.
huh?
Anthony Jeselnik.
No, no, no. It's escaping me right now. But he was on one of those comedy competition shows, and really handsome guy, beautiful hair, and I think he had a Jewish background. But anyway, the point is that yeah, I could see your point about that because yeah, it's like comedy is kind of the art for people who can't hack it as a model. They get
Yeah,
into comedy, and that they kind of take the side entrance into acting because it seems like all comedians. Because that's what I love about being a comedian is that a comedian is the only occupation that can get into acting, that can get into music, that can get into every other form of entertainment. And nobody questions it. It's like you're side loading into things that you really like. Chris Rock, now he's an actor, but nobody ever said you're just a stand-up comedian. You can't act.
exactly. But you know what's funny about that is it's not, it doesn't go the other way. Most actors can't be comedians, but
Right.
most
Right.
comedians can act. It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
true.
I learned this lesson with Kanye West that intelligence and creativity aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
every person I know who's intelligent is creative. But not every person who's creative I know is intelligent.
Right. Yes. Yes, indeed.
It's
Indeed. So that being said, I mean, because I've been hearing for years now that Kanye West is a genius, and I can't stop laughing like you just did. And it's not that I think he's dumb or anything, but I just get so tired of hearing who's a genius. Kesha, genius. Okay, fine. Maybe she is. I don't know. She's smarter than me. She's
in
smarter
the
than me.
morning feeling like Pete Diddy.
Yeah. I guess my point is that society tells you, oh, so and so is a genius and all this, and it's kind of reminds me of that old song. You've been telling me you're a genius since you were 17, and all this time I still don't know what you mean. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
weekend at
it's
the college didn't work out like you planned.
you'll never hear someone who's intelligent brag about how intelligent they are
Right, right.
because they don't have to prove it to anyone.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're not even aware of it because it just comes so naturally.
right.
But
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was like yesterday, our conversation. I was trying to tell you as creators, content creators, what I was going for. And I hate bragging on myself because it's like sometimes on the show, I'll list my credentials just as a point of reference. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with saying this is what I used to do and this is what I used to be. But sometimes, but like we were talking, you know, and I use the word intelligent to describe my content, but that doesn't mean I think I'm smart. It just means that I am trying to appeal to an intellectual crowd to a point. But do you feel, because I mean, I think most comedians that do well are somewhat intelligent, and they have to have a
Oh,
baseline of awareness, right?
without question. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you couldn't do well in comedy if you didn't have a pretty acute understanding of what it is to be human, like, and what state society is in at any given moment, how to read a room, how to change or cater your content to different people with different belief systems or viewpoints. And you definitely wouldn't be able to change anybody's mind through your comedy if you weren't. I
Right.
mean, it's
Right.
that's why not all comedians can be actors, but not all actors can be comedians. It's just right back
Yeah.
to it. It's just
Yeah, exactly.
not
It's a one-way
not
street. Yeah.
and not mutually exclusive terms, and everybody thinks it is. But hey, Sean Murphy, how you doing, baby?
Hey, there's Sean. How's it going, buddy? Sunshine.
We were just talking about how stupid Kanye West is, and how he don't deserve no money.
Yeah. How you doing, Sean? It's good to see you, buddy. Yeah, if you guys don't know, free shout out to Sean Murphy. He runs the Above the Bar podcast. Check him out. He does a great show. Wonderful
Yeah,
stuff.
he'll always make sure you push your stool in.
Yeah, push your stool in.
Such a weird ending note, It's like am I in prison? Is that what kind of stool? Push it in where?
My stool, I can't push it in. It's exit only. No.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is.
Well, well, because like there are times when, because I'm at the age where there is no ego. There's just wake up and try the best you can before you die kind of thing, And, but I know what my brand is and I know what it isn't. And I'm definitely in that high, my audience is usually people that are very sensitive, open-minded, and very perceptive people, empaths, if you will. And I don't know whether or not those folks understand my irreverent sense of humor side. And so I reel a lot, wondering if I've gone too far because in other words, I've grown this batch of empaths and now I'm afraid to be myself around them because they don't realize that empaths can also be irreverent and can also be tough,
Well, that's where the intelligence comes into play is how do you get your audience to grow with you?
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
how
good point.
how do you lead them along that path? Like you
Yeah.
don't want them to stay like just in the same. You want them to evolve with you on your journey because that's how you get lifelong fans and
Right.
like fans that tell their friends about you and so on and so forth. So it's a journey. You have to. The audience are sheep. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but not the classical like they're stupid, but they don't know where you're going. You do.
Real quick. Thank you, Sean. Bye. He's going to bed.
Yeah, I love you, Sean Sweetums. Smooches.
Snooky.
But
Snooky Uckums. We love you, Sean.
They don't know where you're going, is all it
Right.
is. Like, and it's your job to lead them there, like in a way that is comfortable to them. Like, and sometimes it takes growth, and it doesn't always have to be comfortable. Sometimes growth isn't always comfortable.
It isn't. No, it's not.
Because everybody would be grown if it were.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Growing pains is a big part of life, and that's the thing I try not to do. Is I was talking to you on Above the Bar podcast about how I talk about energy is intention, and what I mean by that is that when your intentions are good, you don't have to worry and quibble about your imperfections. Just be yourself, and that is a protective veil for me in the same way that Jesus is a veil or a protection for Christians. That thought alone, of knowing that my intentions are good, helps me to get through my shy moments and my awkward moments. And that allows for the growth. And maybe, and that's my spirituality. That's me learning to be a better person and better comedian, but just better podcaster in general, just because I feel like when my intentions are right, people can tell. And I don't know, it's just because I think it's just so easy to not grow. And I try every episode and every season to grow a little bit from the person I was last season. And but then I kind of always feel insecure about doing it, where I'm like, oh gosh, I hope I didn't go too far on that one, But
Yeah, but are you really worried about it, or do you feel like people should think that you were worried about it because you know what you
yeah.
intended when you said it? Because I find
Well,
myself doing that a lot.
I think it's second guessing. I think it's underestimating my audience, to be honest. And then when I go back to listen to something I said that I thought was controversial or whatever, I generally go, no, my audience is smart and sophisticated enough to get where I'm coming from. When my show is all about working class people, I don't worry about satisfying the sensibilities of everyone. It's a niche thing. It's an empath tribe. And I just go for it. And I have all these through lines that just came very natural for me. It wasn't scripted. It just kind of happened naturally. And now that I've done that, I feel very good about it. But I guess there's that insecurity that the people that you are trying to nourish are going to bite the hand that feeds them because of something you say. And I guess I'm just still afraid of that,
Yeah, it's where you have to set boundaries. I mean, because people will, like, if you allow them, sometimes whether it's known to them or not, they'll suck you dry because they're hungry for what you're providing. Like, the laughter, the content, the thought-provoking material, and the genuine conversation, like that connection with someone because it's so rare now. So, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in it and think, oh, I have to perform to this level every day. Like, I have to put this much content out. I have to do this, and then drain yourself dry. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Well, for me, I think what it is, Keith, is that my show is about kindness and positivity, but I find myself always having to talk about things that aren't positive or very kind. And I don't want to be cast as a hypocrite. I'm trying to show people that even people who are positive and kind have to, you don't arrive every day in a place of positivity. You get there through your process of accepting that which you can't control, or every day is a process to get to happiness. It doesn't come just naturally,
yeah, it's just daylight and dark. There's a duality to everything.
Right.
It's like to appreciate the good, I hate it, but you have to know what bad is. You have to go through the bad. It just makes the good that much better. As cliche as it sounds, I mean, it's a known it's a archetypal idea for a reason because it's always been that way, and I like things like that because they're consistent.
Yeah.
And I love consistency. Like it's because it's such a hard thing to find. Like I'm not consistent. I'm working on it. Like I'm trying to find my comedic voice. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to try how to do the things I want to do and what the things I want to do are because as I grow and like figure out like get more success or like reach more people, like your goals change and so I'm trying to figure out what my set goal is versus what my daily goals are. Like it's
I think for me, I felt so, to borrow Loki's phrasing, I was so burdened by glorious purpose to help empaths and the struggling working class and people with mental health woes that became a real big part of my show. And in doing so, when I tell people I'm a comedian, they're like, no fucking way. Because when you hear my show, it's it's serious. It's not a funny show. It's not, you don't get a lot of yucks in there unless I'm talking with my wife, because then you get the back and forth banter like we're doing now.
Yeah.
But people don't see that humor when I'm being so serious. And so I think I'm just trying to get people to understand that I'm a comedian chiming in about these topics. I'm not a psychologist chiming in about these things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which is a fun, weird line for me to toe. It's
Yeah.
it's strange. I figure that you would approach it with, like, comedians can inject comedy into nearly anything. Like,
Well, I do, but it's hard when I'm monologuing is all. Like when
oh
I'm
yeah,
talking to
you
my
can't.
wife, no problem.
Yeah, you have to have someone that's there that, receptive and can bounce back off because
Yeah, no,
no
I can
knows
be
where you're coming
funny on.
from.
Yeah, when I'm on, when I Rebecca's my co-host now, because when we started creating the show, I was like, what is this show going to be? I know what I want it to be. And then after a while, I realized I'm not going to be getting a lot of guests in the beginning. And so I just ended up promoting my wife, the guest, into my wife, the co-host. And now I've gotten enough feedback where people love my wife as the co-host. And so it's her and I talking about a range of subjects, and then occasionally we'll have a comedian on, or a neighbor or a friend or somebody, from the somebody from the community here. But yeah, I'm allowed to be funny when it's my wife there, because I can ask her questions about things off. But when I'm talking about a topic by myself, it is exceedingly hard to be funny. And I guess I'm afraid that people who see me as the empath are going to think I'm a fraud empath. And the people who see me as a comedian are going to think that I'm a fraud comedian, because I'm a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the comedian though, that comedian job to be able to occupy both, like, with acting as well.
Yeah.
It's you got to be multifaceted and not just 2 to 3 like layers to you. You have to be an onion inside of an onion, basically. Like,
Yeah.
you've had to have your personality fractured and shattered so many times that, like, you can adapt to just about anything.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. And
I,
I've been through, I'm like you, I've been through every type of fucked up job situation imaginable, and then some. And I think it's made me a better person, and it's allowed me to grow. And I can talk to anybody about anything. But, but I guess, yeah, for me, I want validation, but I want the show to, I don't know, just have
wait,
the weight. Yeah. And I don't want to take away from that weight through my comedy. So I try to be light, but at the same time, it's a very serious show. And I think a lot of people don't understand where the comedian part comes into all this.
well, take some of my comedy. I'll give you a couple of examples. Like, I make jokes about societal issues that really bother me. It's like, you know, being a veteran in the American military affords one the rare and almost quintessential American opportunity to live under a bridge that one day may be posthumously dedicated to you. Ain't
Yeah. I
ain't that
remember this
grand?
joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or it's like, believe that we have a lot of problems in society, and a lot of them stem from our reality shows and depiction of reality, which has no tether to reality whatsoever. If you
Right.
keep up with the Kardashians, you can go fuck yourself. You're pretty much garbage, And we got all the way down to, so you think you can dance, so you think you can sing, all these arbitrary things. But if we're going to be talking about useless stuff, let's talk about real reality. Let's
I
take
call,
here's
I call,
it's like, go
yeah.
ahead.
I call those shows surreality, because it's
Yeah.
not real. It's just not real.
Here's my proposal for a reality television show. So you think you can heroin? We take 10 people, 5 men, 5 women, get them hooked on dope, make them work 40-hour-a-week jobs, and then pretend nothing's wrong. And the last one standing, they still
Is the
lose.
winner.
They're on
Exactly.
heroin.
That sounds like real life.
Yeah. See,
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the thing about, like, because I started the show. I looked at it like this. When I got into radio. I got the bug for radio. And then when I moved to Oregon from California, I wasn't seeing a lot of radio jobs. So I'm like, I'll have to create it myself, build it, and they will come. And so I got into podcasting for that reason. And then I just started to come into my own as a comedian, and I knew what I wanted for the show. And so the show kind of took off in its own direction, and the comedy kind of ended up in the back burner. And now I'm finally comfortable enough where I feel like I can try to interject humor more often. But it's incredibly, my show is nothing like me in terms of, because like I have a friend, Idris, we talk, and we met from the show, and she lives in Oklahoma, and we talk every day now through Instagram and stuff. And she's like, who you are in real life is so different from who you are on the show. And I was like, not really, that's me. And she's like, well, I just mean you're so much more down to earth. When I hear your intellectual monologues, she's like, wow. And then you talk and you're just like, hey, how's it going? It's like meat and potatoes, dude, you know?
Do you write jokes? Like,
Oh yeah.
like how often do you write? Like, I mean, not to be nosy or anything.
I am always writing jokes. You know, usually they wake me up at 4 a.m. and I have to write them down before I forget. That's where I get my jokes. They just pop in there. And then I get a concept for a joke, and then I write it down, and then I start working on it once I have that written down. But very rarely do I just sit thinking about jokes. I think about topics, and the humor comes from those topics. And then when anything is really funny, then I write it down. But, you know, the truth is like, I don't just sit and write jokes. I just don't feel like it's just never funny when I do that, you know?
Well, see, that's where, like, I felt the same way for a long time. That's good that you've already got yourself into, like, discipline to where I need to write this down. Like, you're not one that's like, I'll remember it, because
I'll remember. I tried that for a while. It didn't work. I was like, what was that joke? Oh.
And you know what I've noticed is the best ones, they're trying the hardest to get away. Like the faster that you can get them wrote down, the better, because the best jokes are so like abstract, like such an abstract idea or such an abstraction of something that happens. It's you can't capture it twice. Like it's just, it's crazy. It's
catching lightning in a bottle, and then when you write it down, it loses something. So then you have to try to find a way to pump more energy or life back into it once you've had it written down.
Yeah, it's like, how do you revitalize it? How do you capture the same tone, the same cadence, the same mood, like same mannerisms? It's
because like my truest self is on the show. I'm a monologuer. You know, I do rants and I do dissertations. I'm an educator. I'm a paranormal researcher. You know, that's the real me. I've found my voice on the show, and I'm comfortable with that voice. I am very comfortable with myself in real life and being funny, but I don't know how to. I've yet to interject those two sides. Like I'm the podcaster that's serious, and then I'm the comedian that's very funny and light natured. But I don't. Very rarely am I light natured. Well, that's not true. It's not that I'm not light natured. I'm not as funny on the show as I am in real life, I should say. I can't seem to.
Well, marry the two.
Yeah.
I can make. Well, how would you? What would you describe me? Like my interaction with you here. Like, would you consider like me to like? Would you think if you didn't know me that I was a comedian or a funny person?
Not necessarily. I think a lot of comedians they always have that face of shticky. I call it shticky, where you can tell they're getting ready to zing, 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 zing. They're always preloaded with zingers. You're not that, but you are naturally funny in that you're relaxed, and you can tell that you're funny, but you don't seem to me preloaded with zings, you know. But I don't know. It's hard to describe because comedians can be because there's a lot of comedians I don't find are funny at all. I mean, at all. And it's not because I'm uptight about it. They're just not funny. Like, who bothers me? His name, Howie Mandel. He was very funny in the day. I find him very unfunny now. And that's not to say he's not a nice guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I find him very unfunny. And he makes me irrationally angry how unfunny he is, because he had a certain
that's funny.
well, he had a certain shtick in the 80s, and then he, shaved his head and he became like this like mob boss. Like, he's a germaphobe, but he looks like a mob boss now. He looks
like Mr. Clean, but like,
yeah. How do you go
sickly.
from like silly heart Pee Wee Herman to like mob boss in like 10, 15 years? I don't
Money.
Yeah, he got rich.
Yeah, money. It changes people.
Yeah.
You've changed, Howie.
We've
changed.
Yeah. I've got these irrational angers towards a handful of people in life, and
oh, bro, yeah,
like Pat Sajak, it makes me angry. Like,
Pat Sajak,
yeah,
really?
Because his hands got to be made out of pure silk. I mean, he's a gazillionaire, and and then I heard he was in the Navy before all that, and I'm like, well, all right, he's climbing in my book. But I guess I'm just upset at the fact that, like, this guy is super wealthy, and you see how bored he is on the show now. And I don't blame him for being bored. He's been doing it for 50 years, but I don't know. It's just something about that job. And I love Vanna. Vanna's cool. Like, she's still out there doing her thing, but Pat Sajak looks like the biggest hack in the world now.
He was Trebek.
No, he was no Trebek. Exactly. Trebek got better with age. He was really uptight in the 80s and 90s, and now he's super cool. Well, he's
dead.
Yeah. He was, I should say. He was super cool, though. He relaxed into himself, whereas, I don't know, Pat Sajak just reminds me of like this like pampered, well-fed, silky boy who just never had his
role.
Yeah, but he's never had. There's no grit. There's no realism. He's bored and like he's just there for the paycheck now. And like I get it. I'd probably be doing it too. But you would think by then I would have put some. I don't know. You think he would have grown a sense of humor or personality by now?
Yeah, I know. But it's just like what you kind of almost said. It's like you or I would both take that gig most likely. Like,
oh yeah, we'd sell out. Sure.
I don't know, like how satisfied if I could. Fuck you money is one thing, but it's like how after you've got fuck you, your mom, your dad, and your grandmother money, like why would you keep doing that if it was like making you unhappy? It's like he has to enjoy it somehow, like maybe the monotony of it, maybe just the routine, maybe that's the type of person that he is.
Yeah.
It's just, let's spin that wheel. I'm not going to touch it, but you can. Like.
Well, and I think that's what upsets me about him is the milk toast. He's so milk toast. He's like beige on
He's like white bread.
Yeah, he's a saltine cracker, man. Oh my god, I see why they call white people crackers now.
Oh god, I don't understand like. We going to get into racial things? And is an overcorrection?
Sure,
is an overcorrection still a mistake? Huh? Let's see. Like, it's like I've got one joke. It's like like white folks or white guys have no less than 5 substitutes for the N-word. We got my dude, my guy, bro, homie, all this stuff, and it's just because we're trying to imitate like black culture because it's cool. I mean,
yeah.
We can't do it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I was watching Beverly Hills Cop the other night, and just Eddie Murphy's mannerisms are funny. It's just he's funny. He's a naturally funny and cool guy, right? And that's the thing about being a white comedian that I find very difficult is that we can't be as cool as black guys or act or talk like black guys, even if that's who we are in our soul. Somebody would say, "Oh, you're being inauthentic because you're sounding too black."
I
You know,
challenge that
so.
because I go into all black roast rooms and and going in with my accent. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm fighting an uphill battle from the beginning. I sound like the Confederate flag grew a mouth and started talking, and then you start insulting them. Yeah,
yeah.
that's a fun like hole to dig yourself out of. But
Totally. Yeah. Well,
but
I
there's only it's went well for me, like, and I've got to understand a lot of different people that like from different walks of life and like black people in general. I didn't meet a black person until I was 17 years old. That's
right.
insane. Like
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
this area is so like
So white.
culturally closed off that
Yeah.
you don't think about it. Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't even cross your mind.
Right.
So
Right.
like I'm gonna brag for a second. For me to be
Yeah.
able to
No.
go in
Please. Please do.
and do that is just that's a testament to being either really adaptive or just comedic talent, I would say.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and, but I'm curious and it comes off. I'm not. I'm ignorant and I don't pretend that I'm not. Like I want to know. Like, yeah, tell me. Like, why can't I say that? Like, I don't mean anything bad by it. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
I feel like it's all about your intentions, man. Like, a white comedian can be just as cool as a black comedian. It's just, it's just we're comedians. That's it. Like,
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what, dude. You just totally summarize what my energy is intention is that when your intentions are to be funny, to be helpful, to be fun loving, I think you can be cool. I got the best compliment from my friend the other day. My friend here in Oregon, I'm from California originally. I've been around a lot of places. I lived in the South when I was in the Army. I lived in Alabama. And but I'm from California. I lived in LA. I went to culinary school in LA. And he got into a good mood because he had a good day, and he's shy around me because he doesn't want to. He's still trying. He thinks that I'm cool, right? And I'm like, okay. But he's like, you're the coolest friend I have, and I feel weird around you because I don't want to be lame. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a fucking dork. What are you saying?
it's
But
it's it's hard to see the way that other people view you sometimes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was very flattered. I mean, and but yeah, I have a lot of different sides to me, though. I mean,
Oh,
I've
I'm
got
an insane person.
yeah. When right. Well, so can I be. At times. I mean, you've heard some of my monologues. I mean, I have to ask myself, can I publish this? Is this going to be okay? And it's
Yeah.
not because there's anything controversial about what I'm saying. It's, am I allowed to say these things that everybody's thinking in life? Because I feel like it's going to grow my audience when people go, yes, what he said. But then there's a part of me that feels like I'm attacking systems so ingrained in our society that I feel like, the the PC police are going to come and get me.
Let them.
Yeah,
I'm unarrestable. I don't believe like it's like I'll attack things like even we had the first black school shooter. I said, thank God, finally some diversity in school shooters,
yeah,
and
yeah, right,
that's layers. I mean,
yeah,
it's people think it's shock value at first, but it's like I'm trying to poke fun at the fact that how desperate for diversity are we that we'll celebrate like
yeah.
even
A
the
tragedy.
smallest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. Well, and the common misconception, when you live in Oregon here, there are some normal people and there's some smart people here. But there's a whole bunch that fell through the cracks, in terms, this,
like, oh, the
we're not.
educational system failed you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a part of me that, I don't like to talk shit,
I
but
do.
I grew up in, yeah, I grew up in California, and I like being here, but there's just this part of me that I guess like people here,
We
when
have a
you're as old as
superiority
me,
complex.
well, you try not to, because I try to stay humble, But then, yeah, every once in a while that comes out in me where I'm like, I do feel like what I'm doing in rural Oregon versus what others are doing here, I can't relate at all anymore, especially now that I'm a comedian, podcaster, empath that talks about ghosts and cryptids and mental health. Yeah, it's just, I feel like I'm living on Mars, dude. And I try to relate to people. It's like, woo. And then my wife, smart cookie. My wife was a medical assistant for 20 years in California. And now she's working she's 6 years at the grocery store here. And, God bless her because I'm an atheist, but God bless her anyway.
Yeah, right. Where
But
each your own God.
yeah, exactly. But she tells me the people she deals with, and a lot of this stems, this whole pandemic, all this stuff, all these people coming in causing problems. It's all because and I hate wearing masks, and I'm as liberal as they come. I fucking hate masks with a fucking passion.
I mean, like Jim Carrey, all right, because of masks, but
Yeah, but these people that come in and they think it's their fucking job because Tucker Carlson told them on TV to go and cause problems in society. And it's like, God, shut the fuck up, Tucker Carlson. Jesus Christ. Like, it's like people are getting their marching orders from their politics nowadays, and it's insane.
they absolutely are, because that's how they identify themselves, is through their politics and the groups that they identify with. They don't have any individual person. It's just all group identity. And if you attack the idea that the group represents, you attack them. And so that's why they're so violent. Like, they'll react that way. It's like, you just got to separate them from the idea and, like, listen, you're allowed to think.
Yeah.
It's like it's good to be wrong sometimes. Like, it means that
the thing is,
thought.
well, I am all for, and I say this on the show, is that I'm all for, we should not subscribe to, just because the people on the left, we might agree in policy occasionally, doesn't mean that I necessarily agree with their methods. The woke cancel stuff. I do think it's overblown. I think the right tries to use that to weaponize. I don't think canceling is going on nearly as much as they say it is, because the right cancels shit left and right too. And so when they talk, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to trick everybody on the right into thinking that anything democratic or left leaning must be a new world order. And so
look at it this way.
Conspiracy theory.
You got the left here as like a visual representation. You got the left here, right here. Anything outside those boundaries, taboo.
Right.
Perfect, right down the middle, herd people in a straight line. Don't let them have any individual thought. Don't let them wander off and question anything. And you've got a bunch of servants. I mean, you've got a bunch of fucking people that'll vote you into office every year. You've got a bunch of people that'll pay their taxes, whether they're ridiculous or not, that'll work for goddamn next to nothing and not question it, that don't have good health care, that don't have good schools, that don't have Social Security, don't have retirement, and they're happy with it.
Well, and there's so much cynicism on both sides that, like when Biden is trying to do good things, the right is like, no, fuck that. We don't want infrastructure. But when Trump does it, it's great. And it's like, when are we going to get?
It goes both ways. Like, it's the same.
No, of course it does. No, of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. But I just mean that. But the Republican Party hasn't offered anything for the middle class and the working poor in a century. So and maybe on the local level, but not in presidential politics. But I'm just saying, because I don't. Yeah, it is on both sides. Absolutely, it is. So don't think for a second, but that I think otherwise. But I don't know. It's just, I don't know, man. It's the tail's wagging the dog in this country.
Yeah, I just think that we have a bunch of people that say that they're civil servants and public servants that forgot what it was to serve the public, and because they got so busy serving themselves off of the public's plate.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. Like, when I criticize the right, I criticize the left as often, if not more, than I criticize the right on my show. But I think the thing is that the problem is the both sidesism about things is that the left is bad at their job, but so is the right, but for different reasons.
Well,
The
do you
right
know
is
why I
bad at
like
their.
Donald Trump?
Why is that?
Because he upset the established order.
Right. I don't mind that aspect of him. That's the only redeeming quality he has. The problem is that he weaponizes it for shit that doesn't work for our country. That's all. But I
Well,
like the fact that weaponize because he radicalizes and riles people up, but then they all become what exactly?
they become instruments in trying to upset, I guess, is the order even more to an extent that it's no longer beneficial to anyone.
Well, that's just it. I'm all for upsetting the establishment. I'm all for a little anarchy in the right
Yeah,
doses, but
I'm for a
but
revolution if called for. I
oh
mean,
sure.
but you got to think like it's irresponsible to say that. I mean, I think this is my personal belief, and I shouldn't have to say that. Like, but
Yeah.
that whenever they stormed the Capitol,
Hmm.
that was, and saying that was worse than all the Black Lives Matter protests and everything combined. That's a
Hmm.
blatant lie. I
Yeah.
don't. I just yeah, the guards that killed themselves afterwards. I don't trust the news or sources or anything. Like most of the time, there's no journalistic integrity anymore. It's who
Yes,
gets the
true.
things out
True,
fastest.
but the right wing is depending on your lack of faith in that system in order to propagandize everything that you distrust and then weaponizing that for their agendas. And so I do agree with you in the sense that we should be skeptical of the system itself,
A
but
healthy amount.
unfortunately, the right is using it for their own agendas to win elections. And my thing is that every time we have a Republican in office, we don't solve any problems. Every time we have a Democrat in office, we solve some problems, but then they just get undone by the next administration. So it's this back and forth nonsense.
I think that it's kind of just a cyclical thing. Like it's not anything to do with either side. It's like, I can say that every time Toby Keith comes out with a new album, we have a domestic terrorist attack. But
So you're
does that
saying
have
that's
any,
not the causation, yeah.
yeah, does that have anything to do with Toby Keith or,
Right. Well, I, because the thing is that I feel like I have to preface everything I say with, sure, I'm progressive, but the thing is that I'm not saying, it's just the Republicans nowadays live and thrive off of fear, paranoia, propagandization, and distrust of government. And then they weaponize that and rile people up to the point that even if you were to try to do something good, like build infrastructure, they'd be so cynical of it that they would poo-poo it even if it helps them. And so the
Well,
Republicans go into office, they don't even pretend anymore to care. They're like, in other words,
well, it's
I,
like,
I am cynical of where our tax dollars are spent, but the Republicans are like, well, that's good because we weren't going to spend it on anything anyway. like,
'cause I mean,
I mean,
I would rather them not spend it on anything than to spend it on the military, growing the
yeah.
military that we
Oh
don't.
no, it's too
Like,
much. I agree. I
that's
was in the military and I agree. Yeah.
and I wasn't, so I mean, I have an outsider's point of
No, but
view,
I
but
agree with
I
you
can.
that we don't need a bigger, stronger military. We need to have readiness and preparedness, but we don't need billions of dollars every year pumped into that. No.
Every minute, every day.
Right.
Like we need to
Right.
fix homelessness, man. We need to
Right.
take care
No,
of the
I agree.
veterans.
Well, and that's my point is that there's such cynicism that, it's like the left tries to fix things and the right tries to say, well, we don't trust any of our systems, so we're just here to defend your best interest. but we don't believe, we're nihilistic as you, so we're not going to solve any of the problems. And so, in other words, the left, I think there are good players on both sides, and I think there's bad players on both sides. But at the end of the day, I just don't see Republicans, Congress people, Republican senators. They sow this cynicism, and it's their daily bread, so that he keeps people cynical about government, so that they don't have to work. Whereas when Democrats at least try to put things out, they never get there, but at least they try. No, so in other words, Republicans don't want. They don't want.
Feel the same way about both sides as you do about Republicans. I feel like they both operate under a guise of, look, we're trying to do this, but yeah, you're right. Like I do
I'm not saying it's not there on the left, but what I'm saying is if you can't see the difference between shooting a bullet and throwing a bullet, then you haven't been paying close enough attention to politics. Sorry.
Well, yeah, well, Dick Cheney,
we can both sides in this, but at the end of the day, there is a difference, and if you can't see the discernible difference, then you're not paying attention.
Oh no, but it's a big club, and we ain't in it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Democrats are. I'm not letting them off the hook. I'm just saying that they are more functional than the Republicans right now. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case.
Well, I mean, did they have our best interest in mind, or because do you remember when it switched over between Trump and Biden, and they waited to give the vaccine out for a week or two, just so it wouldn't be attributed to Trump?
Optics is perception. Perception is reality. So yeah, no, I agree. But at the same time, would Trump have done anything fucking different though? Why do we give credit to Trump for the vaccine when all he had to do is go, hey, start working on the vaccine? We give him credit for that?
Because it got done.
Anybody with a pulse could have done that.
It got done though. I mean, not everybody with a pulse.
So what? It would have happened under anybody's watch. And
see,
so
that's just where you're not giving credit. I mean,
I don't mind giving Trump credit when it's due, but I don't see what he did in any regard. In any regard.
It was done.
So what? It would have been done under President Burr or President Russell.
Oh hell yeah! I hope it would have been.
No, listen. I don't mean to come off biased. Yes, I am progressive, but I am small p progressive. I'm not a Democrat. I don't, but the thing is that
it sold us all out.
It's complex, and there's complexities and layers. But the left tries to act classy so they can win elections. The right tries to act cynical so they can win elections, and neither of them are doing what they could be doing.
Well, and look at it this way. If you were on the right and everything that you try to do was downplayed and twisted by the left, who try to act classy but aren't. There's nothing classy about Nancy Pelosi and a lot of those people that try to act so morally superior just because their base foundation thinks that they are. They try to keep that up. Everything that you try to do gets ridiculed and put down, and then the exact opposite happens on the other side too. So we have a bunch of cynical people and opposite are just trying to maintain their egos.
No, sure. For example, Jim Jordan comes out and he says, "We're the beer and blue jeans party." They haven't had policies that help the lower middle class in a fucking generation. To say you're the beer and blue jeans party, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the Democrats are any good at their job. I'm not saying that they're functional. I'm not even saying they're smart.
No, what I'm saying is, it's like Democrats saying that they're for the black people.
Yeah. Well, more so than the right. I mean, but to what extent, I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I shouldn't say who are we. I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
To say
we're all citizens. We're all registered voters.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to vote, but no, no, it's just see, and that's the thing. Like, it's tied into our personalities that we get defensive about it, like because
Yeah.
we're afraid of looking wrong or being wrong because we feel that we're right. Like,
Yeah, well, I'm not. The thing is, the difference between you and me is that I care about you and you're my friend, but I used to work for a political company, so I've been involved in politics very deeply for a very long time, and
you
and
work
and
on both
so
sides.
no, I have not. So there is an inherent bias, I'll admit. But the thing is that you cannot tell me anything the Trump administration did was normal or progressive or good for regular people. It just wasn't. That being said, that doesn't mean the Democrats are so holier than thou. It just means that we have a system that's so divisive and divided that nothing's getting done on either side. And then when they try to, it's becoming exceedingly easy to compromise because we are so jaded, we are so cynical that no progress gets really pushed through. And so at the end of the
And,
day,
and
here we
and the
are.
progress it does, we don't know who to give the
Credit.
to give the credit to because everybody claims we did, or we'll say, oh, that was the previous administration's doing. That was a
Oh,
foundation set in by the
and that's
Biden
well, that's
or
the
the
problem with the optics. Is that the optics are the optics perception is reality in the public sphere, and so if they can get credit for something, but that was just like and I don't mean to pick on just the right. It's just that, but like
well,
they
you would
clearly objected with everything that had anything to do with this Biden Build Back Better plan. But then when it passed, they tried to claim credit for it. Now it happens on both sides, but not like that. I don't. We should probably not talk about politics because the
I
truth
think it's
is
important too, though, like, because it gives me a better, like, I feel we understand each other at a little bit more of a fundamental level, because we
yeah.
both have no understanding of what really goes on, and I think that's where we
Well,
need to start.
I understand it well enough to know why people grow disenchanted with it. I
Okay, well,
understand it.
yeah, I can understand the
Yeah,
societal aspect of it
and
and the
well,
impact
and
that
like
has
I
on
said,
people.
well, and when I side with the left, it's in a very, very general sense. I'm not saying they're morally better. I'm not saying that they're intellectually better. I'm saying that they're the only people that actually seem to give a fuck about working people because all those we just saw Trump pass a fucking tax break for the rich and they're all cool with it. And you cannot tell me that they are the blue jean and beer party. They're just not. And that being said, that doesn't mean that I think that all all Republicans are bad. I don't. I think there's local Republicans that do very good work. But on the national level, we're talking about an
I,
optics game of he said, she said, and it's never going to ever get better because we're never going to have an educated populace to do anything with. You all right?
yeah,
Someone try to rob your house?
goddamn Democrats.
Trying
I, I
to break
did
into
hear,
your house.
yeah, I hear not get they stimmy.
Well, in other words, the only reason why I favor
Did you hear that?
I don't.
Oh, it got me out here all paranoid that night. I think it's bad that we won't even allow the idea of a third party to develop, or that there is no way that anybody that says that they
Yeah.
don't believe in Sky Daddy will ever have footing to
Yeah,
run.
no, I agree with that. We need a multi-party system that represents everyone's values and virtues. The problem
And
is that we have two huge tent parties
too
that
much
have to.
interest on both sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No. And like I have to preface by saying that I don't side with the left every time. It's just that the Trump and what they've been doing to impede progress for regular working citizens is absolutely historically documented, and you
Well,
can
I
see
mean,
it. If you want to know what people care about, politicians, look at their voting records. Their voting records, they vote against things that help middle class people. And so we
look at their
know
bank
for a fact
accounts.
that Republicans care about the wealthy moneyed interests in
Well,
corporations more
on,
so.
on,
But that's not to say that Democrats aren't corporate Democrats too, though. So that's my
exactly.
point.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
On
no,
both
there is
sides,
that. There is that. Absolutely.
like you
Well,
should not be able to become filthy rich as a politician.
agreed.
There's
Absolutely agreed.
no
Well,
way.
right now we're trying to get this infrastructure package through, and there's two Democrats holding up progress, Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema,
Oh,
and
West Virginia, baby.
they're all taking heat, but that's because they're getting the money, baby.
Back scratch.
Yeah, and so yes, that ruins all progress. So like,
And it also takes away trust in the entire system.
yes, it does. Absolutely. Sure. And that's why, when I talk about this, it's really hard without going on a huge, long conversation of having to tell people all these things before you can arrive at a place of,
We both
therefore, I
believe the
agree
same
more with the
things.
Democrats and the Republicans. It's not that I think Democrats are that great. They're not. It's just
It's
that,
weird. Like we both believe the exact same things, but we just get to the beliefs through different, like through
yeah,
different paths,
right,
like
right.
different,
Yeah.
different
There,
viewpoints. Like you were talking about the
yeah,
visual. Like,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well,
so that's so fucked up, man. Like,
well, and that's why we have to start, because I don't want people to pull out of politics. What we have to do is we have to pay attention to politics enough to be civic minded and to vote our conscience.
we have to pull the greed out of politics.
But that's just the thing. And that's the problem, is that as people are becoming more political, all it's doing is riling everybody up and making this extreme left and extreme right wings with a few centrists in the middle, and nothing's
Exactly.
getting done.
It's like it was like what we were talking about in the identities. Like we derive whether or not we're right about many other things through our political affiliations or our political beliefs, which,
Right.
They don't represent our best interests.
Right.
Period.
For example, Democrats have been living too long on this idea that they're for women and for black people and all this, whereas Republicans have been living too long on this idea that they're the better freedom party, that they believe in freedom and civil liberties more than the Democrats. In other words, both parties are getting away with this reputation of being this thing that neither of them are anymore. Both of them are equally guilty of mishandling our money. Both of them are equally guilty of eradicating our freedoms. And both of them are equally guilty of not creating more jobs and better sustainable living for regular average citizens.
We're also guilty for letting it happen.
Absolutely. But then, even as we become less politically illiterate, because people nowadays are probably pound for pound more political than they were 5 or 10 years ago.
But misguided
Yeah,
political beliefs
exactly.
is
And so how do you solve that issue?
you take the shit off of the TV that's distracting everybody from what's really going on, like the Kardashians and shit. And like TikTok, this is a really interesting little point to make. TikTok is owned by China, but the Chinese algorithm, like the algorithm Chinese people use in their country versus the one that they enact here, is completely two different things. Like you'll get famous here by doing a stupid dance in the United States, or doing lip syncing to a song, doing things that take no talent whatsoever to do.
Right.
That stuff doesn't get rewarded in China. What gets rewarded in China is things that have to do with STEM jobs, like engineering, mathematics, sciences, medicine, all that. That's what's
allegiance to the
rewarded there.
Chinese flag, allegiance
Yeah,
to
and if it's if we're trying to destabilize a population by dumbing down that population over a long period of time, that's a brilliant way to start.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And well, see, that's the thing, is that I'm a veteran. I'm a freedom lover. I'm a American flag wearing guy. I wear American flags on my trucker cap all the time. I have 6 of them in my closet right now. And so most people, when I walk around here, they think I'm conservative. I can't tell you the number of times I've had people drop racial jokes on me thinking I'm part of their Ku Klux Klan mentality. I'm like, whoa. Don't let the flag fool you, buddy. Just because I love this country doesn't mean that I'm a racist.
Yeah, right. It's weird. You can when I tell like racial jokes too, but you can tell the ones that are laughing a little bit too hard for the wrong reasons. Like
Yeah.
like yeah, well, buddy, I tell you what, you right about them over there. Then are they different? Ain't they? Like you missed it entirely, didn't you?
Well, and that's what I'm trying to say is that on my show, I'm trying to be small p progressive. That doesn't mean I subscribe to all the nonsense. I love freedom. I love when we as a country have freedom to choose. But we are all being fed pipelines and pipelines of so much information that we all get information saturation. And that saturation is dumbing down and diluting the meaning, the value of life and words themselves.
Yeah. Well,
the
it's
message
like
gets stored.
we have a population of people that aren't capable of abstract thought, critical thinking, or extrapolation. And there's so much noise out there that it's impossible to get anything that's actually concrete, true, or
Right.
usable. And I believe it's been purposely constructed that way. And
Well, you made a perfect example. You and I, socially, politically, are probably very similar in terms of what we like, what we care about, and who we are as people and how we identify. You're like, I'm this, and this, therefore Republican. I'm exactly the same as you, therefore Democrat.
yeah.
How did we get here? How did we get here? We're the same person.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess it's a nature and nurture, like what you're familiar with, what you were brought up with. And
well, you were raised in Kentucky, and I was raised in California and Oregon. That right there should tell you everything.
Yeah,
you are what you are around.
See, and the funny thing is, I'm an anomaly. Like not to shit talk to people like around here, but there's a lot of fucking racists around here, and not just the ignorant kind, like the willingly ignorant kind that ain't trying to learn.
Right.
And homophobic as well. But I'll tell you what, if you want to see some hatred, you try doing something a little bit different that people don't understand, like comedian. What? No.
Oh yeah, especially like I imagine, like I paint my nails black a lot, and when I was in California. I was on vacation. Well, this is before I actually moved up here. I've been painting my nails black around Halloween time for as long as I can remember. And this little girl was like, "Mommy," I was at Walmart. She's like, "Mommy, that man's wearing nail polish." And she looks up at me, the mom, and she goes, "I'm so sorry, sir." I go, "No, she's right. I'm wearing nail polish." And so I was giving the kid permission to know it's okay. She didn't say anything wrong. And so, yeah, you color your hair and you're living in this really conservative Kentucky. I get it here. When I paint my nails, oh God, you would think I was just flaming gay, and I have a wife. Like, I'm pretty darn hetero.
I've got an example of that that's a lot worse. Like,
okay.
That was wrong. That wasn't the first black person I saw. The first black person I saw was in an elevator in Virginia Beach whenever I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, it's an N-word."
Oh gosh.
I didn't know.
But you didn't know what you were saying.
That they were called anything else.
Oh God, that's pretty bad when that's all you think they are called. That means you've been, that's how deep the red is. And I don't want to say the red because not all Republicans are racist.
Man. It's like
just the ignorance. Yeah. Well, I'm the opposite. Let me tell you my upbringing. I'm
sorry, not to cut you off, but thank for that woman that was in there. She said, "Oh, honey, it's okay. It happens all the time."
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. I I was raised in LA as a little one until I was about 5, and then I started kindergarten on the Central Coast, which is about 300 miles north of there. Anyway, the point I'm getting to my point. My point is my babysitter was an all black family because my mom had to work full time, and so all day long, 40 hours a week, I was with the black family. And so at a very young age, I'm talking 3 and 4 years old, I lived with the black family full time. And it just, racism wasn't a thing to me. I didn't even understand what racism was because I'd known black people as, I mean, she changed my Pampers when I was 2 and 3 years old, so
they were a solid facet of your everyday life. Like, it was a mainstay in it. And
yeah. And it really, well, and I've told this story on the show, but it was my 5th birthday. It was just before I ended up moving. My babysitter, her name was Yvonne. She had 2 daughters, Karima and Tamika. Don't get blacker than that.
no Abdullah. Oh,
no. But she introduced me to her friend, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin was at this kid's 5th birthday party at the park in LA when I was 5.
Man,
Yeah.
I feel like,
and it's a
being in
beautiful story.
LA, being in LA, you have a lot greater chance of just being able to happen across people like that.
Oh yeah,
that's
well,
amazing.
I mean, what are the chances, though? I mean, it's not even. It's still statistically insignificant. What are the chances? Yeah, and I still remember it. I remember this. I remember it happening. I remember I was this shy little 5-year-old going thanks, and I didn't know who she was then. I had to grow up and realize, oh, that's her. Oh my God, I made the connection.
Greatness.
Yeah.
See, my town produces country music artists at a hugely disproportionate rate, like per capita. Than I'm talking like people that are on Fallon and like the Tonight Show, like winning like Grammys and shit.
Right.
Like it's odd. Like there's something in the water here. It's or it's like strife, maybe.
Yeah,
struggle.
Well, and before y'all think I'm like Mr. Ultra Conservative, I worked for a country radio station before I moved up here.
Oh, I fucking hate country music. Most of it's just dishonest, like bullshit.
I tolerated it. I started liking it for a while, but I moved up here and I started kind of getting into it for a little bit, but then it just wore on me because the country music that they play now, it feels more like Christian rock to me than country. So,
well, it's dishonest music that's catered for a certain audience to pander to them, like a dirt road, a cold beer, blue jeans, a red pickup
truck,
the rural noun, simple adjective. Like,
well, and I think you're exactly right. Is that they're piggybacking on nostalgia of a simpler time?
Yeah, or the people that are actually doing hard work. You're talking to them about doing hard work, and you've never done it in a day in your life.
Right?
You wrote the song on a private jet, and you're talking about putting your boots in the dirt.
Yeah, or like when rednecks find out that their favorite country artist is a Democrat. Oh, watch out! That shit fucking cracks me up. What you did? You thought
I'll do it.
Like you didn't think the Dixie Chicks were Democrats? You didn't think Garth Brooks was progressive?
It's like you seen the Chappelle Show skit about Clayton Bigsby, the black white supremacist?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
He left his wife that day because he said she was a new lover.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly why it's hard to be a white comedian because, first of all, we're never going to be as cool as black guys. And second of all, the minute we start acting anything but white, we're going to be accused of acting black. And so how do we ride the line where we can still be cool?
I'm colorblind, baby.
Well, so am I, but
Just be the funniest motherfucker wherever you are, and
yeah,
you can't be denied.
yeah,
Dane
yeah,
Cook told me that. Like,
yeah, right on. Well, like I've watched, here's my problem with me being a comedian is that I can be funny, very funny, but there are people out there like everybody who wins a comedy competition, it's always the aw shucks guy. It's always the aw shucks guy. It's
because
never.
clean comedy can get booked anywhere, and it's all about the money.
Yeah, it's always, and I love, there's some great comedians. Who's that guy? You probably know him. He's like a country comedian. I can't remember, but he always wears a ball cap. He's a short guy, a little
Dusty,
self-deprecating. Huh?
Dusty,
I don't remember. I wish I
Dusty
could remember.
Rhodes, or you got long hair.
No, he's a short, fat, short, chubby guy. Where's I'll after the show I'll find him and I'll show you who I'm talking about. But my point is like comedy itself seems like you almost have to become a stereotype in order to be funny. And
Yeah,
so you know what I mean? And
yeah,
so, and nothing against black comedians, because black comedians are funny, but they almost have to what's the word? They have to
pander, be, yeah,
a little bit pander, but more like they almost have to reenact or perception's reality. They have to pretend they're they have to pander to the stereotypes of being black.
oh, I
And that's what I
love
love
fucking
about.
all these women and all these hoes out here. And you know what, Lord, I
Yeah,
like to smoke my weed and get high and eat my chili and all that
right.
shit. Yeah,
And that's what I loved about Dave Chappelle is that he did those things as a joke, but then he
yeah,
would let you know there was so much more there.
yeah, he called it out like
Yeah,
in
he
the
called it out.
perfect
Right.
way.
Well, and then like I said, if you're white, because if you're black and you act like Kevin Hart, then you can get famous. Just wild out. That's the same,
Yeah,
it's like
well,
Martin Lawrence, run tell that, you just go there and you could be famous. White guy, I can't do that. I can't get away with that. And I don't mean acting black. I can't get away with wilding out. I can't.
you
There are
can
rules.
if you do it right. Dane Cook made a career out of it.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
And
But he's also very well hated and on many, many douchery lists.
yeah, by people that didn't sell out that didn't sell out any, like,
Yeah, exactly.
any
The
in
haters.
Texas.
The
Yeah, look,
haters drinking their hater.
I took I have a video of like when like talking to him. Like I'm making pretty decent friends with him on Clubhouse, and
Mhm.
it was funny because I got a lot of flack for like posting that or like talking about like advice that he'd given me, like,
Right.
and it was all by people that had never sold out the fucking Staples Center or like
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
oh, you really you sell out Madison Square Garden real quick and then come talk to me. I might in 5 minutes. Okay,
No,
yeah.
no. I liked Dane Cook back when he was famous. I never stopped liking Dane Cook. In fact, he's in one of my favorite movies. That movie,
Waiting.
Waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Eat a
one. I like that.
shenanigans, eat a shenanigans. Anyway, but I like Dane Cook. I don't, he got a reputation for being a douche, but he sold, like you said, he sold out arenas, and he's one of the few white guys who, like you said, wild out. That worked.
And
It worked.
and he
You
was
either have
brilliant
to be,
too.
you can wild out like that as a white comedian, or you have to go the aw shucks country comedian route, or not necessarily country, but the aw shucks G Willikers thing.
I like the one that defies everybody's expectations, the one that you think's just dumb, and then you like, holy
Yeah.
shit, I'm thinking about what he said still. Like,
Well, that's the comedian I'm thinking of. This guy, very average looking, short, kind of chubby, wears a ball cap, nothing to look at, but he's funny, but then every once in a while there's more depth there than you give him credit for. I can't remember his damn name, and I'm not going to remember it because it's been years, but he's really good.
Slay.
Yeah, I'll have to look him up. I don't think that's who it is, but
well, yeah, he's the only one I know that kind of fits that description. At least he's not a Larry the Cable Guy. God.
Well, this guy is like a Larry the Cable Guy disciple, except he's not country at all. But he could fit on the blue. He would fit on that blue collar comedy. Yeah, but he's not country. He's more just, I don't know, simple.
They did such a disservice to anybody with any intelligence that has an accent that's trying to get into comedy.
Right, yeah. Well, you know what I always used to say is I love country comedy. I don't like country comedy fans. I love MMA. I don't like MMA fans. I love the thing. I don't always like the fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I didn't know that whenever I'm sorry, but getting into comedy, like I didn't know that like I would have to start taking MMA classes like to fit in. Thanks, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's like, I got to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, really?
I talk on the show about Joe Rogan a lot because I'm a podcaster, and it started as a joke, talking just about how Joe Rogan is so famous, and it helps a podcaster to start out famous, you know. But then it kind of got to the point where now almost every episode I mention Joe Rogan at least once, and it's one of my through lines now. And I only do it in jest because I actually like the guy.
Oh, I do too. I mean, he's an amazing individual. He works harder than 10 people. Like,
yeah, absolutely he does. My only problem with Joe Rogan is that with that big a voice, I wish he did more to raise awareness about the economic injustice in this country. I wish he did more. It's not his job, but I just wish he would.
Maybe he just doesn't feel like he's suited for it. Maybe he feels like, if he did something.
I'm not saying it's. Yeah, I know it's not his job. I get that. Like, I can't say, oh, like you go be a politician or anything like that. I just wish that I don't know. He's got such a big influence. I wish he could do something better with it than just.
He's the new Johnny Carson. He's got the golden touch, man. Like anybody that's on his podcast, just like Carson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
My main problem with Joe Rogan is that I'm not him.
Well, you remember how I told you, we were talking on Above the Bar podcast. We were talking about piggybacking, and then you were talking about how that could backfire and such. In YouTube, you can, like, say you do product reviews. If you do a product like the purple mattress, that can bring crossover audience to you. And so what I'm learning now as a podcaster is that my podcast doesn't have to have anything to do with my comedy. It's a completely separate entity of my comedy. But so long as people are getting to know me on the podcast, it helps my Chef Bryan comedy brand because
there's cross-platform recognition.
Yeah, it's all cross-platform. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I'm trying to do now is just keep going and just I'm waiting for that break when either XM Radio says, "Hey, I love your work. Would you like to do a radio show, you and Rebecca?" Or
they never will.
Worst case scenario.
You'll have to approach them. That's what I'm saying.
It might be. Yeah. But worst case scenario, I do this for 5 years and nobody notices, but it's on my resume, and it's certainly better to say I've been podcasting for 5 years. Putting out all this creative content, than to say I've been working at Target for the last 4 years. I don't know. It just seems like
exactly. It's a lot better avenue in.
Yeah.
Than to say, hey, I think that I'd be good at this. They're like, you think? Or do you know?
Where is this coming from? Yeah.
Like, is this coming? Is it like founded purely in delusion, or do you have some experience? Like,
right.
Man, we've been going for like almost 3 hours now, and we said we weren't going to do this.
And I don't even know if I'm going to even post this, to be honest with you. I may not. Not because there's anything. not that there's anything wrong with it, but I would have to edit it. I'd have to edit out the middle, and I'd have to put
Oh,
the
bro,
two.
it'd take me 10 minutes to edit this.
Oh, me too. It's no biggie. But I'm just, I don't
Are you
even
afraid
care
to-
whether it becomes this part of the show or not. I'm having too much fun enjoying myself. As soon as we had the technical glitches, I stopped thinking about the promotion and I started thinking about our friendship and just having a good time.
Yeah, bro.
So-
See, I think that this is why Joe Rogan's podcast succeeded, because he was having genuine conversation like you and I are having, and with
Yeah.
people that have differing viewpoints, and he
Right.
was doing it, and they were doing it in a, what you call a decent way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
The problem is that the left wants to attack Joe Rogan because, I mean, we might as well bring it up, the Spotify thing, right?
because
Now-
he's not the mouthpiece that they would hope that he would be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing about Joe Rogan is that he'll admit, he's like, I'm
Dumb.
probably left wing, but I just don't subscribe to your woke culture nonsense, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is he got out of LA and moved to Texas. Well, he moved to Austin, which is a liberal bastion in Texas, but still.
Oh yeah, Austin, the white oasis.
Yeah, exactly. It's still pretty liberal, but he got out. He wanted to get out of that limelight. He wanted to get out of that Hollywood echo chamber, and I don't blame him for that. He's famous enough where he can. I mean, what other person do you know could leave Hollywood and still put on a show? I mean, you have to now.
Could leave Hollywood and have half of it follow him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the mass California exodus.
Well, and that's what I was getting to when I was talking about that piggybacking thing, is that I project on the show. Like I talk about my podcast and then I'll talk about Joe Rogan as a joke or something. But just by doing that, you're making people think that you're in the same league or level as that person. In other words,
You are. He's just been doing it 10 years more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean, is that like Howard Stern said, if you want to get famous, you project yourself as, and it's not about vanity and ego, but you project yourself as famous or successful or worthy, and you telegraph that, and over time you will catch up to it.
Yeah,
you're telegraphing your success, and you will eventually catch up to it.
Yeah, we talked about that last night. I believe it was like, if you say I'm going to be broke the rest of my life,
then you're probably going to be broke. Yeah, chances are.
I'm going to get ripped this year. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to just turn myself into a machine. Got a really good chance, I'm going to get 100,000 downloads this year.
Right. Yeah.
And, I mean, I had 200,000 people on my page last month. Like that was one of my 250, closer to 3. 250 was a goal of mine. Like whenever I set out, and I've made like not incremental, but like pretty decent like market like percentages every week. Like I keep track of my analytics like almost like obsessively, because the algorithm always changes and people don't understand. Like they throw the term algorithm out like it's one thing. There's several different things that go into it, and like
analytics is very complex. Yeah. Very
it's easy to get lost in them too. Like but you just got to know what to look for, and luckily for me, I've figured out like what I need to look for. And if you look at like my demographics of who like is listening or watching me, I'm in the Goldilocks zone. Like it's 60% men, 30% women, like ages 20 to 35. And that's the zone. I mean, I even like got people up to 65, 70 years old like watching my shit. Like
why not?
Right? I got a big following in Nova Scotia, oddly enough.
Well, that's funny because I'm a very when I talk on the show, I'm very United States centric, but then it can't, I started looking at my analytics. I'm like, I'm getting a lot of people from other countries listening. And so
Australia
I'm like,
loves me. Like,
yeah, I get a lot from Sweden. I get some, I get a few here and there, Japan, China, everywhere. Every country at one point is listening to my show. But yeah, there's like these little resurgences in Sweden
it's
is a bit,
weird, right?
yeah, Sweden. I have certain states that love me. Like every time I put out a show, I get a handful of people from my hometown of San Luis Obispo, California. I get a handful of people from right here. I get a handful of people from Bend, Oregon, and a handful of people from Portland, Oregon. And then from there, it's pretty random. But it's funny because I don't think of my friends. No, none of my friends tell me they listen to the show, and yet somebody's listening every fucking time. I don't know who it is. They haven't come out yet to tell me who they are.
It's probably somebody that can't stand you, man.
Yeah, they're probably hate watching.
Yeah, and that's fine too because it counts.
Yeah.
But it's funny. Like, not one time has Paintsville, Kentucky, or anywhere in Kentucky ever registered on the people that view my content. Like,
Right.
I made an effort not to like tell anybody here because I made the mistake of like telling like the person dude I considered like my best friend, like, I'm going to go into comedy, and fucking
Right.
laughed at me and like
Yeah.
talked down to me and shit, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I told you about my favorite like revenge or like petty like get back at somebody that I've ever had in my entire life, didn't I?
Right.
Like with Dane, like
Yeah.
that's I think about that twice a day.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
totally.
just,
Yeah.
it's just so good though. Like, but yeah, LA, New York, Chicago, where else? There's another one. Melbourne, Australia, and Sydney.
Yeah.
Those are my top 5 places, and like I got I'm invited to do the Sydney Comedy Festival this year. I'm like, I don't think I can leave the state.
Are you paying for it? Can you get me over there?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing though. Like they would, and
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just because I did a couple open mics online there, and
right.
the right people heard, and
Yeah. Well, that's my point is that what we're doing right now, whether or not it feels like it's paying off or not, I'm sure I'm going to lose a few followers here and there. Not everybody's going to get me. I'm not going to be for everybody. But my point is that at the end of the day, what we're doing right now, putting 5 years in as a comedian or putting 5 years in as a podcaster versus putting 5 years in as something else, exponential, bro.
laying the
Exponentiality.
foundation.
Yeah. Think about your chance of success when you broadcast yourself to the world versus broadcasting yourself to nobody. Is that, of course, the rule of exponentiality dictates that you're going to eventually make it, assuming you have a little bit of talent.
Yeah, like an inclination for it. It's like,
Yeah.
do you think that you could be a great comedian? Well, there's a lot better chances if you try and you're shitty at it at first than you just keep thinking that you are or that you could.
Yeah. Well, we talked earlier on the show about how people are barking up the wrong tree. They don't know when to give up, or they don't know, they don't quite have it together enough, to grow. We talked about that other podcaster who I won't name, who is probably never going to see exponential growth because he's not working on the mechanic. You think he will? I hope so. I like the guy.
I think that he is persistent enough, and
He's persistent. I'll give him that.
Like he's got that kind of innocent, like the innocent wonder, like that, like
childlike wonder. Yeah. Well, I hope so because I didn't mention him to talk bad about him. I like the guy a lot. I was only using him as an example of who I think isn't working on the mechanics. And I only say that because I've only been at this technically, let's see, since May. I've been doing this since May, and I'm already meeting podcasts that have been doing it for 4 or 5 years. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that I'm working on the mechanics. Yeah, that's all.
It's good,
and so are you.
You gotta give yourself credit. Like, yeah.
I appreciate
it. That's a tough thing for me to do, though, is like to give myself like credit
Me
for.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
I feel
that like some false sense of humility or anything. It's just,
no, I know. I say it legitimately. I have I have trouble with it because I know myself, and do I think I'm valid or worthy enough? Sure, but I don't see myself as special.
we got a third person that just popped in here.
Oh, nice.
Loyal
we're growing now, baby.
Well, 3. Hey, it's Dale Earnhardt, baby, right there. That's the angel of North Carolina. Oh, that's one of my jokes, actually. It's like, growing up in the South's different. We have 2 9/11s. We have that one, and then we have the day Dale Earnhardt died.
Who? What was that?
So we have 2 9/11s. We have that one and the day that Dale Earnhardt
died. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
The first time I saw my dad cry.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's funny that you should mention that, because I remember exactly where I was when Dale Earnhardt died.
Exactly. That's how I end the joke. Like,
I was at JFK Airport in New York City.
Shit. I was in the whirlpool.
And I've only been to New York once. Huh?
Yeah. I was in a whirlpool bathtub. Like,
yeah.
And Dad came in. I remember he was like, "It's bad." And I was like, I end the joke by saying, I know a lot of people in my area that can't even fucking read, but they all know where they were when the wheels stopped turning.
Right.
Because when the world stopped turning versus when the wheels stopped turning.
The wheel. Yeah, exactly. The wheel stopped turning. Yeah. Well, it probably felt that way for a lot of folks there. And and see, that's the thing is when I talk about politics, I say this I preempt everything I say on the show with politics, that I am not a hater of Republicans. I am not a hater of conservatism. I am not a hater of Christians. If you're getting something good from it, great. It's
Don't
just
make
that
me play with it.
Yeah, it's just I have my preference because of because I worked in it. I know it implicitly, and so yes, there are, but that doesn't mean that I don't think that there's dysfunction on both sides. Of course,
Oh yeah.
I don't label myself a Democrat. No fucking way.
Well, there's that cognitive dissonance that comes along with fully subscribing to either side. It's like you have to be blind willingly to a lot of bad things to be like, nothing's wrong. My side's all good, so I'm all good inherently by siding with it. Like,
yeah,
are you?
Yeah.
Or are you being irresponsible and lazy? Like, that's like whenever somebody just calls somebody crazy because they don't understand them. Like, it's lazy, it's dismissive, it's irresponsible.
They don't want to do the legwork it requires to understand something, so they just label it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand the leg work is harder for some people than others, but if you don't start working out your legs, it's going to keep being hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, indeed, brother. So there is no I could do this all damn night, but I know you've been.
Yeah, I gotta start editing this.
Yeah, we've been at
this.
I had a great time, and I just real quick before we end, I just want to say from the heart that I don't always feel natural or comfortable around everybody, and I do with you, and that says a lot about you as a person, because as an empath, I clam up like tighter than a drum with some people, but with you, I feel like I can talk and be myself. So thank you for that.
Dude, man, well, thank you for that. I mean, that makes me feel awesome as well to know that somebody that is actually aware of other people and their feelings, and that can be comfortable around me. Like, it's like I know that there's a lot of things about me that can be grating. Like, especially if you have an intellectual conversation with me, there's a lot of things that are counterintuitive to what what you've learned about people before.
Yeah.
like
Right.
what you would think. Like, but I mean, I appreciate you putting me on the same level, like intellectually as you, and like not
Oh, dude,
being
I'm
like
not special.
having,
It's it's funny. I get a lot of like random people just go, Apple Podcasts, wherever, and I'll get these 5-star reviews. People like, and I always get this, they always call me intellectual, or they always call me like super smart and all this. I don't know how to take that, bro, because I mean, yeah, I'm not dumb. Obviously, I'm not dumb, but when I think of myself as intellectual, it's like, wow, okay, I'm glad that people get something from it, but I'm very humbled by that. I cannot wear that label comfortably.
well, in a world where common sense is no longer common and intellectual is king, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's,
I try to put out good work, and I try to be myself, and
it
I
shows that
hope
you love what you do.
I do love it. Absolutely, I love it. And there are days, I have depression. You were talking about depression. I have depression. I have situational depression. I manage it with running, ashwagandha, and just that's it. Like,
Situational depression, I like that.
yeah,
See,
it
because
is
I found
situational.
out I didn't have a major depressive disorder. I was disappointed in everyone that was around me.
Yeah. Well, we
That's a
inherited a world where we have no stake in the game. And I talk about that on the show a lot. The reason why there's a general malaise and general disappointment is that we're not inheriting a world that we have any say in. And so it is inherently depressing to find out that we matter little. And so
yeah.
we
I
have
mean,
to
we're just
find
a
ways.
little. There's a little blip on the cosmic scale, like
Yeah.
a fart in the wind.
Yes, sirree. But, you know,
Yeah,
I
I
just,
mean, I definitely appreciate that. And oh, but what I was one more thing I was going to say is how you can tell that you love what you do is that's the exact same reason I think that the podcaster that we were talking about like
yeah,
might not make it.
right.
That's exactly why I
I
think
hope
that
he
he would
does.
too.
I mean, for your sake and my sake and his sake, I hope he does.
I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, no, I hope he does. I just, but I don't know. I don't, because I'm not saying it to talk trash. I'm simply saying it as an observation, off the cuff observation, that he doesn't work on the mechanics enough. But you're right. He just goes, and he just keeps putting out shows. And man, by God, like, I mean, I've got 54 episodes out. He's got 200 and some odd episodes out. And you cannot make that man slow down. And,
You
I
won't
think
miss a show.
he's a great guy. I love, on a social level, I love talking with him.
You get the innocence about him, like it's
Yeah,
strange. He's harmless.
yeah, I guess that's why there's a part of me that's like, because like I said, I want everybody to succeed. I really do. I hold no hate in my heart for anybody.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
that's where I come in too, like where he's harmless and like you have to know when to have claws, man. It's like or show your teeth. Like just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I'm showing you I got my teeth sometimes too. Like
yeah, well, exactly. Well, that's what I meant to like, without making it sound sinister. You and I understand a little bit of business savvy. We understand a little bit of social media. We understand how to utilize it in the just right amount, not too much, not too little. And I believe that time is on both of our sides, in the sense that we've got enough time where exponential growth will take place and it will happen. Now,
while
I get
we've been so
discouraged.
careful,
What's that?
I
I
said
get
while we've been
discouraged all
so
the
careful.
time. I get
Oh,
discouraged a lot,
dude,
but
yeah, I don't second guess myself. I kind of I feel stupid sometimes, like walking through the hallways doing impressions of celebrities. Like,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
I'm like, if somebody were to see me right now, doing to talk like Morgan Freeman, it would be very weird for them to watch me talk. Like, but I get there. Like,
yeah,
it didn't start out there. Like,
right, yeah,
I feel
yeah.
silly sometimes.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I like about doing a podcast, is that once I do get up on stage for real, because I've been writing for a long time, jokes, and I'm ready, I'm raring, but I haven't been up on stage because of the pandemic. And now that it's going to be opening up soon, I want to be ready. I think the podcast has prepared me to do comedy because it's prepared me to be comfortable talking. So,
We'll get into that. We can get into that on a different one.
There you go. All right.
I thought
Yeah.
that's a good. Actually, I'll write that down because I have a lot of, like, there's so many differences, man. It's just subtle nuances and then complete, like, contradictions to what you would think. Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
I don't care for podcasting that much, like
That's okay.
it's
You don't have to.
it's I know I mean like myself doing it, I like listening to podcasts and stuff, but I do it because it's practice and it's a good
Yeah.
way to network, and
Right.
it's something I'm uncomfortable with, so I temper myself with it a little bit. But
Yeah.
as far as having one that I feel like I'm obligated to do. If I feel like I'm obligated to do something, I'm 9 times out of 10.
I'm the same way. That's why, like, I get creative paralysis where if I'm burning out, that's why I take hiatuses every season, because once I've done 24 to 28 shows, I'm tired, man. I do 2 shows a week, but those shows are hour and a half to 2 hours long, and they're about stuff. It's not just talking. It's not beer talk. We're not just talking about movies. It's
Dude,
very
I've got
serious
probably
stuff.
30, 35, maybe a little bit more hours of content I haven't even put out, just because I don't know who wants to hear this shit. Like, I've had great thought-provoking conversations with people that, like, I'm like, who's going to be interested in hearing this? Like, like with like huge mouthpieces for atheism. Like, I've had, he was also like a gay man, like, and then there's all like radical, like super racist black people, like I've talked to, and like kind of changed their mind, or at least I'm the exception in their eyes now. Like, it's fun.
Right.
It's crazy shit, man. Like, I just don't know where to put it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Well,
And after like so long, like, I feel like it's no longer applicable.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But maybe that's just the fault I've got. Maybe I should just dump it all at once. Like, here you go. Here's all of it.
Well, that's what your YouTube's for, man. Just let it be, man. Just see what happens. Some things might surprise you. What catches fire?
Did I tell you what I was doing with the Eric C. Con thing?
The what now?
The Eric C. Con thing, the lawyer.
Oh, yeah. You told me about that. Yeah.
I think that's going to be good.
I think so. Yeah. And if you need anybody being a part of it, I'll help you out. But
I've got several people on my one. You, my buddy Cliff, and maybe 2 other people to come in and give their opinions on, and like viewpoints, and
definitely
if I can involve other people and that be successful, and that's good for me too. Good for you.
Thank you. And I sincerely, like I said, everything I do doesn't mean I don't get into bad moods. Doesn't mean I don't stop believing myself. Doesn't mean that I don't get depressed. I do. I get it all the time. But what I'm doing makes me feel inspired because of the people I get to meet and talk to and deal with. I'd much rather deal with Keith Burr than some crazy lunatic customer.
Oh,
my wife's here.
10 times. I've been that customer.
Yeah. So.
See, that's the difference, though. But that's the difference between actual having goals and being confident in yourself versus delusion. That you do question it sometimes. I mean,
yeah.
So
I think it's natural, but I just I think growth is happening. I can definitely see growth, especially recently. There's a lot of growth. But yeah, you just have those days though where you're like, it doesn't change the fact that you're still living in Oregon, still living in a mobile home, still broke, still on food stamps, still wondering when anything's going to really take root and take shape. And what is going to be that catalyst? Is it going to be because I had a conversation with Keith Burr? Is it going to be because I, went there on my podcast? Is it going to be because I finally multi-platformed? Is it going to be because, you know what I mean? You're just always asking all these questions. Yeah.
Anything. Like that's the thing about it. It's not any set formula. It's just
No.
being prepared when opportunity presents itself.
Yeah,
Is how
exactly.
you do it.
Well, and the thing is I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm going to be on YouTube, but I'm not going to be a YouTuber. I'm just going to put supplementary stuff there. But I won't do Snapchat and I won't do TikTok because it's just not my thing. But maybe I should. I don't know. Because I do believe, in theory, I should, multi-platforming.
I had 10,000 views on TikTok today. I mean,
wow.
I don't do shit on there hardly. I mean,
yeah. Well,
I don't like it as an idea because it promotes people who don't have talent and it gives them this grandiose idea. And it also pushes down people that are creative in a lot of cases. It stifles them and discourages them, while it also promotes people that are putting out the wrong shit. I don't like it, but it's undeniable its reach.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand.
Oh, my Google's talking.
Neither.
That was my Google. I was like, "What? Hey, bitch, mind your own business."
She's like, "What? You must TikTok."
Yeah, exactly. It's Google. It's spying on me, man. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, because I can look at someone like you as an empath and go, I see what you're doing, right? I see what's going on, and I see the reach you have, and I just couldn't do what you do. I'm a comedian. I love what you do. I personally would be very bad at it, I think. But I think it's working. I think what you're doing is absolutely working because you're giving people bite-sized bits of who you are and bite-sized videos that just are easily digestible, and you're doing it all the time, and that they're all there forever to go viral at any point. That one day it might get discovered, or one day it might go huge, and you might have that one video to think, but you don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like 3 videos right now. It's got over 1 million views. I mean,
wow. Yeah.
And a couple others are a couple 100,000, 800, 700. Like
I might be thinking kissing your ass in 5 years because you got me famous. I don't know.
I'll try. Like, I'll bring people with me for sure. But
I'll take it.
The other thing about those short little like sketches and stuff are easy to distance myself from if something was to, if somebody was to take them the wrong way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think it's the perfect thing because it's viral. It's funny. It's viral. It lasts forever, and it's easily shareable. I wish I could do that more. I mean, I'm funny, but I don't even have the technology. I mean, I can edit all day. I can do very detailed editing, but I putting videos, like, I don't know where you're doing that at. I don't know. Etch a Sketch. I don't know. I don't. I'm 47 years old. I don't even know how to write my own name.
I just retaught myself cursive this year, so.
That's because we never write anymore.
I know, man. But dude, I'm gonna jump off of here and maybe get some sleep.
Yeah, all right, brother. Yeah, good talking, man. And just please remember. Yeah, please do. And just remember, anything you do, no matter what happens, rich or poor, famous or not, I enjoy you as a person. There's no weirdness here. There's no ulterior motives. I just like you as a person, and I hope our friendship can just be that,
Hell yeah, I mean, for sure. Don't you fuck me. Don't you try to fuck me.
No, brother. Ever.
No, it's like I remember that it's a mob movie or something. And he's like, we're friends, but don't you fuck me. Don't you ever try
Yeah.
to fuck me.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. I just bought Casino. I wonder if it's Casino.
Oh, I think it might be. Yeah, I think it is.
Is it?
It's either Casino or
Or
shit, Casino or what's the other Joe Pesci and
yeah.
oh wow, I feel like an idiot. I can't think.
I know. I know which one you're talking about. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas, yeah.
Goodfellas,
You
yeah.
made me. I'll pop your fucking eyeball out for fucking. Like, I love that.
You know, Joe
Oh,
Pesci's
shit,
great.
bro.
I know we're getting ready to leave, but I just want to say Joe Pesci's great because he can do everything from like crazy mobster shit to like My Cousin Vinny or Home Alone. It's like
Home
that's some
Alone.
range, man. If you think
He
about it,
played the same person in all those, just different
right?
degrees of that person. I would say, like,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Joe Pesci's undeniable, man. He's a force.
Exactly. He hasn't been around for 20 years and nobody has forgotten his name.
Exactly. It's a
You
reverence.
know, that's some deep shit right there. That's some deep societal fabric weaving right there.
Yeah, he's an archetypal figure. Or I mean, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
The little mob boss, man. You
yeah.
don't fuck with the tiny guy.
Yeah, no, they're the craziest of everybody. It's like you don't fuck with the white guy in an all black gang.
Because he did some crazy shit to earn his place.
Exactly right, brother. Anyway, thanks, Keith.
All right.
All right, brother.
See you, Bryan.